From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 11 meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch. Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to start our meeting with a salute to the flag. It will be led by Joan Flickinger, who is from the Bakersfield chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. As you probably have already recognized today is the September 11th, and 9/11 obviously happened on this date. So after we have the flag salute, I'd like us to pause for a moment of prayer, reflection, or meditation, and I would ask you to please remember the tragedy of that day and the resolve that our country has undertaken to make sure that that never happens again. So please join us in that moment of silence afterwards to remember so that we never forget 9/11.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Without mental reservation.
Thank you very much. May we never forget 9/11. Yeah. I have an announcement to read regarding an action that was taken in closed session. So let me read that first, and then if there's any other report on closed session action from Mr. Nations, we'll have that in a moment. Before we begin the rest of this morning's agenda, I have an announcement. While meeting in closed session on item 99 of the August 28, 2018 agenda, the Board of Supervisors voted unanimously on a 5-0 vote to appoint Mark Whitsoe as the Kern County Director of Airports effective October 1, 2018. After an extensive nationwide search, Kern County is fortunate to have Mark Whitsoe's outstanding knowledge, skills, and experience to lead Meadows Field in the future. Mr. Whitsoe has worked for King County International Airport at Boeing Field in marketing and business development for the past 2 years, and the Port of Portland in Oregon prior to that. His professional experience also includes management responsibilities in property administration and airport operations with the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority and San Jose International Airport. Mr. Whitsoe received a Bachelor's of Science in Air Transportation Management from Arizona State University and an MBA from the University of Nevada, Reno, and is an accredited airport executive from the American Association of Airport Executives. Although he couldn't be here today, we are pleased to appoint him as our Director of Airports and look forward to hearing from Mr. Whitsoe in a few weeks as he transitions from Seattle to the Kern County area. We extend our congratulations and best wishes for his success in this critical role for us here in Kern County. Mr. Nations, do you have any other report to give us on actions taken in closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board did meet on August 28th in labor negotiation discussion in item number 100. It took no reportable action in that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to deal with our consent agenda next. Consent items are considered to be routine by staff and are typically voted on all at once. They are indicated in the agenda with a CA above the item number. I'd like to walk you through what those consent items are, and then I'll give an opportunity for the public to be able to ask any questions about any consent items. Beginning on page 2, items 1, 8, then 10, 11, and 12. On page 3, items 13 and 14, and then items 17, 19, and 20. On page 4, item number 21 is indicated to be on consent, but we want to pull it from consent, so item 21 will be voted on separately. But the rest of those items on that page 22 through 29 will remain on consent. Items on page 5, all the items 30 through 36. On page 6, all the items 37 through 44. On page 7, all the items 45 through 52. On page 8, all the items 53 through 58. And on page 9, items 59 through 65. Madam Clerk has a correction, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a correction to read into the record on item number 30 under District Attorney. The recommended action in all caps should include the words adopt resolution, so it should be approve, adopt resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the public have a question about any of those items that are on consent? Yes, sir? Yes, please do. What was the item number?
Item 55.
Thank you. Item number 55, this gentleman has a question about. So please, please give us your name for the record and proceed with your question.
Yes, sir. Morning, Board, through the chair.
Good morning.
Tim Coffin, President, Kern Law Enforcement Association. I'm not requesting the item 55 be removed, but I would like to offer a quick public comment on that if this is the appropriate
Yes,
time.
sir. Please proceed.
Last Friday, I had the unfortunate experience of sitting in on a meeting where deputies are assigned mandatory overtime assignments to fulfill the fair contract. In the past, prior to about 3 years ago, all those assignments were done on a voluntary basis. And over the course of the last 3 years, we've had to actually go in and assign people mandatory shifts to fill the allotment of shifts that need to be filled out at the fair. That number has steadily increased. I think last year we were in the range of 50 people that had to be assigned. Excuse me, I'm trying to get over a cold. This year was 92. 90 of those were deputies and 2 sergeants had to be assigned shifts. Normally the way that happens is we'll go through, start at the bottom of the seniority list and work our way to the top. And we'll identify those individuals that have a regular scheduled day off for one of the assignments that need to be made. And so when we find that person, we assign them to a shift. So this is just an example of the ever-increasing demands being placed on our members. You can imagine that this is 92 families that probably had plans made for their day off. You know, their day off is a time to get away from the job and kind of try and recover. And so during the fair, 92 people will be out there working who had other things going on and wish to remain in an off-duty status. I believe in trying to lead from the front. If it's good enough for my members, it should be good enough for me, so I volunteered for one of those shifts. I'll be out there the first Saturday. And I'd like to extend an invitation to all you guys to come out to the fair and interact with our deputies and kind of understand what they're going through on a daily basis. So those are the comments that I had, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Coffin. Appreciate you bringing that to our attention this morning. Anybody else have a question or comment about any item on consent? Okay, let's return to the board then. Colleagues, what is your pleasure with regard to the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion on consent.
Thank you. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Thank you. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
We want to pause for just a moment. Supervisor Perez would like to recognize someone.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I appreciate that. I would like to acknowledge Mr. Rick Judge. Are you here, Rick? I don't see you. Oh, there you are, okay, and I see several members of your wonderful family. I have some information I'd like to share with you about my friend Rick, and an incredible public servant and entrepreneur in this community. Rick was born and raised in the Central Valley. Rick is a first-generation Indian American. His parents immigrated to the United States from Punjab, India. Long ways. He was born in Fresno and lived in a farm labor camp in Mendota, California, where his parents started their life in America working in the fields as farm workers. His family eventually made the move to Bakersfield, where he went to elementary, junior high, high school, and college. He attended West High and was involved in various different clubs and elected as student body president during his junior year and ASB president during his senior year. Long time ago, Rick. He then went on to pursue his business degree at CSUB. Soon afterwards, he obtained his general contractor's license. Today, Rick is the Chief Development Officer for Countryside Corp. Rick, along with his family, owns Countryside Construction and Real Estate Development and operates various different franchises: Subway, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, my favorites, Brookside, Countryside Markets, and Shell gas stations. They employ over 400 people, most of whom live in my district, or my previous district, throughout all of Kern County and Tulare, and have been in business for over 25 years. Rick is an approved builder for many national brands: Subway, Taco Bell, Chevron, Shell, Pizza Hut, DaVita Dialysis, etc. Rick builds not only for his own family business, he builds for others as well, as I have personally witnessed. He's well-versed on regulatory issues as they pertain to development and construction, first-hand experience dealing with regulations that are specific to land use and permitting. Rick brings with him a wealth of knowledge from his years in construction and business development in the Planning Commission. He was raised by his family to be in service to others, constantly volunteers his time and resources to the Homeless Center, various other community organizations and events. For his efforts in business and community service, Rick was recently recognized by Bakersfield Life magazine, 20 Under 40, People to Watch. He is happily married to his beautiful wife, Neetu. They have two beautiful girls, Raya and Raina, 4 and 2. I am so proud and so honored today to announce the appointment of the very first ever Sikh American Planning Commissioner to the Kern County Planning Commission. And I am so thrilled and pleased at your contributions, not only that you have made you and your family to this community by employing so many people, helping so many families, many throughout my district, be employed and have stability. I thank you for that and for your countless efforts at philanthropy in this community. I think you are the right addition to the Planning Commission, and I'm so pleased with all the varied life view you bring to this dais. So thank you, congratulations. You've just been officially appointed by my colleagues and myself, so congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Judge.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, for that indulgence. I so sincerely appreciate that.
Nice to recognize such an outstanding person. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So items number 2 and 3, Chairman, if I can take them together. They both are proclamations, so I would make a motion on proclamations 2 and 3.
Yes, we have a number of presentations to make this morning, and Supervisor Perez will begin with 2 of them. So we have a motion on proclamations 2 and 3.
Second.
Thank you. Please cast your votes.
Mr. Olcott, come on down.
Thank you. The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
Casey, come on down. We've been waiting for you. All right, in the house.
Made it.
You made it.
Past the train station.
Nice. All right. Hello there. You made it. Long train, huh? Good thing you're here, sir. Happy to have you. Good morning, Chairman Maggard and fellow members of the board. It is with childlike excitement that I come before you today to proclaim and honor the Kern County Fair. This year's theme of Fair Friends Forever is both fun and fitting, since many of us will be visiting the fair with family and friends, a time-honored tradition here in Kern County. The fair has many family-friendly attractions, including a petting zoo, exhibits, dancer and karaoke performances, that's exciting, a rodeo and carnival rides. This year, concert performances at the Budweiser Pavilion include the Beach Boys, War, Ashanti, John Michael Montgomery, Air Supply, and many more. The Kern County Fair also does a fantastic job of highlighting our agricultural industries by supporting local 4-H and FFA programs and engaging our youth in the agricultural education and opportunities. The fair is always a fun event for all ages, and I encourage everyone to join me at the fair September 19th through the 30th. It is a distinct privilege and honor to make this particular recommendation to Mr. Olcott, our fair CEO. Mr. Olcott is so remarkably generous, kind, and wonderful to the many, many children of this community, in particular those in my district and my church that we take to the fair every single year. They would not go otherwise. Mr. Olcott extends his personal generosity beyond any public recognition, and he does this year after year after year. And I am so grateful to you, Mike. Thank you. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed September 19th through the 30th, 2018, as Kern County Fair Days in Kern County. And this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes and signed by our chairman, Supervisor Mike Maggard. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you very much, Supervisor Perez, and thank you, supervisors. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all your support. As many of you know, the fairgrounds is a county property. We lease it from you, and we're also in the city of Bakersfield, and I'm a state agency. So it's kind of a nightmare sometimes, and thanks to Mark Nations, he's helped me through some legal issues that I've been able to overcome. And thank you to the Sheriff's Department, Mr. Youngblood. I appreciate everything you do for us out there at the fairgrounds, keeping us safe. We couldn't do it without you and all your sheriffs. Again, I know the contract is coming up, so I hope you approve that today. It's a great contract and a partnership that we've had with you for years. This year, Casey's Farm is one of our new additions. It's a 2/3 of an acre farm that's a partnership with Grimway and Grimm Family Foundation and many other foundation partners. And we will have a huge garden out there, cooking classes, and we're partnering with Bakersfield City School District, with Wayside and Sequoia, and that will become their farm as well, because they don't have the room in their schools to create a farm. So we will be partnering with them, and then maybe Casa Loma as well. I just want to take this opportunity. Hope you guys come out and see us. We really do appreciate everything you do. Lots of exciting things this year, so come see us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olcott.
Yes. Also, Mr. Olcott, tomorrow is our blood drive here. It's our second annual county blood drive. The county family is excited about it. They get a fare ticket, as is common to give blood this time of year, but because of you, they'll also get a parking pass. So, Mike, thank you so much for that. We are doing so much good together, and I look forward to continuing it with you.
And thank you for the partnership.
Thank you. All right, Casey, keep up the good work. Okay, my final item. Chairman, is item number 3, Paint the Town Pink Proclamation. So where are the pink people? All right, looking pinky. I like it. Come on down. All right, I like that. I love hot pink. Oh, I like the dark pink. Darn it. Okay, wow, quite a team. I love it. Today I have with me Chairman Irma Cervantes. She is the board president for Links for Life. Today we are proclaiming October 2018 as Paint the Town Pink Month in Kern County in recognition of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. During a month of October, activities are planned to promote education, early detection, and community resources for those affected by breast cancer. I encourage everyone to participate, become informed, and utilize the services available. We have all seen the effects of breast cancer, whether through a family member or a friend, and the struggle and heartache that is felt by so many. We remember and honor those who have lost their battles to breast cancer, support and encourage everyone that is undergoing treatment, and celebrate the survivors that are in remission. I want to commend Irma Cervantes and Links for Life for the work they do, not only in October, but all year long, providing education, early detection, and connecting our community with the resources available. I join my colleagues in proclaiming this October as Paint the Town Hot Pink Month. And here at the county, per tradition, we will light up the outside of our building with pink lights during the month in recognition of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you so much, every one of you, for all that you do. This is a proclamation to you in recognition of our eternal gratitude for helping us do this better. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. On behalf of our Board of Directors, our many volunteers, and our community members that are affected by breast cancer, thank you for proclaiming October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We appreciate the support of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. In the U.S., more than 260,000 women and 2,500 men will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year alone. In Kern County, approximately 444 will be diagnosed, and we will lose over 90. If diagnosed early, there is a 96% survival rate, which is why Links for Life exists. And we invite you to join us when we kick off October. And actually, we're kicking off a day early, September 30th. So we invite you to join us at Yokitz Park on Sunday, September 30th at the park at Riverwalk for our first 5K walk. And if you can't join us, you can sign up as a virtual walker, so no excuses. We also are partnering with the Department of Kern County Public Health and Kern Medical, and they will be hosting their own walk on October 25th, so we invite you to join us there as well. And we will be providing you with a folder with all our activities throughout the month, and we invite you to join us. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thank you, Ms. Cervantes.
Nice job, everybody. Thank you. So much. Good work.
Next, Supervisor Gleason will present two items next. Items 4, which is a proclamation proclaiming September 17th through 23, 2018 as Constitution Week in Kern County. And then item number 9, which does not require a vote, but is a certificate of recognition honoring Monsignor Craig Harrison as the recipient of the inaugural Hands of Hope Award by the Comprehensive Blood and Cancer Center Foundation here in our community. Supervisor Gleason.
Motion on proclamation, item 4.
Thank you. Please, thank you. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
And gentlemen, looks like a New England Patriots football game coming up here. Ever come on down? Get the camera. We're gonna be on TV here. All you smiling faces. You're fine. You're perfect. You're perfect. Come on down. Outstanding. We got everybody in there? Except the guys with the guns. I don't know what the. A lot of fanfare for this one. This is a good one. This is a proclamation by the Board of Supervisors of Kern County, officially proclaiming September 17th to the 23rd, 2018 as Constitution Week in Kern County. I have a proclamation here signed by our distinguished chairman, Supervisor Chairman Maggart, dated 9/11, 2018. 2018 marks the 63rd anniversary of Constitution Week. In 1955, the National Society designated the week of September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week. The Daughters of the American Revolution, here with me today, have made its own resolution for Constitution Week, which was adopted on April 21st, 1955. Members of the United States Congress received the Daughters of the American Resolution, and on June 7th, 1955, the resolution was discussed in the Senate. The first resolution to observe Constitution Week was made June 14th, 1955, by Senator William F. Noland of California. Following the passage of the resolution by both houses of Congress, President Eisenhower issued his proclamation on August 19th, 1955. The first observance of Constitution Week was so successful that on January 5th, 1956, Senator Nolan introduced the Senate joint resolution to have the President designate September 17th to 23rd annually as Constitution Week. This resolution was adopted July 23rd, 1956, signed into public law 9/15 on August 2nd, 1956. We here in Kern County are blessed to have a chapter of our own, Daughters of the American Revolution, and we're joined here today by the Regent. Christine, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you so much.
And accept this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll do all that.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Supervisor Gleason. Chairman Maggard, members of the board, again, my name is Kristen Blackburn-Kaufman, and I'm Regent of the Bakersfield Chapter, National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. And thank you for this proclamation and for giving us the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Constitution Week. This year marks the 63rd year of Constitution Week, And the Constitution is a living document that assures each citizen the freedoms Americans cherish and appreciate. As members of the Daughters, it is our responsibility to keep our ancestors' legacy alive by promoting the ideals they fought valiantly to give their descendants. As daughters, we are all direct descendants of someone who fought for or supported the cause of independence against the British. Our ancestors risked all to ensure that they and their posterity could enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's up to us to plant the seeds of knowledge of the Constitution in the hearts of all whom we encounter, as well as to kindle love for the great gifts it bestows. This year, we mark the centennials of Armistice Day and the Treaty of Versailles. We also mark the approaching centennial of the passage of my favorite amendment, the 19th Amendment. This trio of centennial commemorations springs from the tenets set forth in our Constitution, truly an especially poignant period. On a local level, I'm pleased to inform you that our chapter has 3 Constitution Week displays in the Kern County Library, one at the Beale, one at the Rathburn, and one at the Southwest Branch. I would encourage you to stop by and check those out. Thank you to our chairman, Chris Champness. Chris is here. Chris and her committee decorated those displays. Also, we are additionally distributing 250 pocket constitutions, pencils, bookmarks, and flag code books to students in local schools to educate them about the Constitution, and I have one for each of you today. I've given those to Mrs. Krause. I'm honored to be joined by this fabulous group of ladies, as well as the Kern chapter, Sons of the American Revolution Color Guard. They're here with us today, minus their weaponry. They wouldn't let them bring in their muskets. So thank you so much for this.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Ladies, thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you very much. You get pictures? Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well done.
Is Monsignor Craig in the house? Okay, I don't see Monsignor Craig, unfortunately, but I guess that's good. You thought it was 10. Mr. Chairman, may I ask your indulgence? Monsignor thought the presentation was at 10 o'clock, I just found out.
Okay.
Could we delay this until
Certainly.
he gets here? Thank you very much.
Certainly, we'll take a few other items first. Yes, and now Supervisor Scrivener will make presentations for items 5, 6, and 7. 5 is a proclamation proclaiming September 18 as National Suicide Prevention Month in Kern County. Item 6 is a proclamation proclaiming September 2018 as Recovery Month in Kern County. And item number 7 is a proclamation regarding Incarceration Nations, a document by Baz Dreisinger. Supervisor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion on items 5, 6, and 7, please.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of
Morning.
the board. I'm joined here by Bill Walker, our Director of Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, for the first 2 items that we have to present. First is item number 5. So what is a never event? Put plain and simply, suicide is a never event, and it is the goal of the Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services hopes to attain, and it is also a goal that everyone here at the County of Kern wishes to impress upon the public as Kern Behavioral Health and the Board of Supervisors kick off National Suicide Prevention Month. In 2016, the total number of suicides in the United States was 44,695. One person dies by suicide every 11.7 minutes in this country. And suicide is the leading cause of deaths for our youngest fellow citizens, those aged 15 to 24 years old. Some more sobering figures. Kern County has a higher rate of suicide than the rest of California at 14.2 deaths by suicide per 100,000 in population. These numbers are staggering and tragic, but there is hope. Suicide is recognized as a public health problem and has declared suicide prevention a county priority. The County of Kern is dedicated to reducing the number of suicides and the pain for those affected using educational programs, intervention services, and bereavement services. It is the hope of everyone that suicide will hopefully someday become a never event. And so the Kern County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims September 2018 as Suicide Prevention Month. I'm going to present this to Bill Walker, and this is signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mike Maggard, and see if you have a few words to say. Thank you. Come on forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Scrivener, Bill Walker, your Kern BHRS Director, Chairman, members of the board. I'm going to reiterate a couple of those statistics just so that they sink in. Suicide does remain the second leading cause of death for the age of 10 to 34. Overall, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Each year, as was stated, 45,000 Americans die by suicide. For every suicide, there's 25 attempts, which means there's 1,125,000 attempts annually. For every suicide, there are 280 people that seriously consider it but decide not to. That means there's 12.6 million people a year that seriously consider suicide and don't have an attempt. On average, there are 123 suicides a day, which is the 1 per every 11.7 minutes. However, our hotline took almost 40,000 calls this year. Our certified hotline, your certified hotline, took 18,500 calls from the suicide prevention hotline. You have a flyer that we've provided to you in a packet that actually shows some of our events, and I'm not going to go over those events, but I want to implore that we are now launching a program called Zero Suicide, which is an effort to eradicate and reduce suicide to the fewest number possible. That being said, I'd like to introduce that behind me I have Robin Taylor, the Deputy Director of Specialty Clinical Services, Tanya Mann, our Interim Crisis Services Administrator, and Ellen Agard, who's pretty famous in our community, a Program Support Supervisor of our hotline and our suicide prevention. And I want to personally thank the board. I get calls from people in this community. I get calls from people that work for the county asking me how to help somebody, how to get somebody help. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we have a website. I could go through all the events, but what I really implore is that people use those resources because we can get you help the day you need it, the hour you need it. Our 24-hour hotline can get it to you whenever you need it. Thank you, board, and thank you. Oops, don't want to take your stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker is going to stay right here with me because the next item on the agenda, item 6, is to proclaim September 2018 as Recovery Month. This year marks the 30th annual National Recovery Month, a time when the public, nonprofits, and government agencies come together to recognize the efforts of those afflicted with substance abuse and other mental health issues to recover from the issues that trouble them. This year's theme is Join the Voices of Recovery, Invest in Health, Home, Purpose, and Community. This awareness campaign seeks to educate the community about substance use disorders and prevention strategies, and hopes to educate them on how to understand that recovery from mental illness and substance use disorders is possible, and how to access resources to help them or a loved one embark on the journey to recovery. During the past year, Kern County Behavioral Health served over 6,700 new enrollees in substance use disorder treatment services and averaged 2,500 individuals served per month. This year's theme of investing in health, home, purpose, and community highlights the hope in each individual's journey to reclaim their independence and invest in renewed and purposeful life. And so the Board of Supervisors State of California, County of Kern has officially proclaimed September 2018 as Recovery Month in Kern County, and this recognition has been entered into our official minutes, signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mike Maggard. Mr. Walker, here you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Chairman, members of the board, again, Bill Walker, Kern BHRS. How many of you know someone who is loving, hardworking, trustworthy, a good person, a friend, who is also someone who is in recovery from drug addiction or alcohol addiction? Or someone who you think will be that person when you help them with the problem of drug addiction or alcohol addiction? This marks the 30th annual National Recovery Month. As we know, substance abuse disorders affects millions of Americans, and it directly touches the lives of individuals, family members, neighbors, colleagues within Kern County. I'm not going to reiterate the statistics that the Honorable Supervisor just mentioned. I am going to turn this now over to Anna Olvera, our Substance Use Disorder Administrator, to review the flyer of the celebrated events for this month. Thank you. Anna?
Thank you, Director Walker. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak a little bit about our Recovery Month event. We're going to have an event at Mill Creek Park on Saturday, September 29th, and we'd like to invite everybody to come out. During this event, we will have, like it was mentioned before, a lot of information on our treatment providers, how to access those services, and we'll also have testimonies of individuals in recovery, because the whole point of the event is to showcase that recovery is possible. So behind us, I want to recognize some of our planning partners. We have representatives from Bakersfield Recovery Services, College Community Services, American Health Services, and TASC. And some of these partners are who have helped us work really, really hard to make this event a success. I'd like to point out that as the provider of substance use disorder services, one of our mandates is to make these services available to the public in a culturally appropriate manner and in the language they're more comfortable in. So if I may. El Departamento de Salud de Conducta y Recuperación cordialmente invita al público y a toda la comunidad de habla hispana a que atienda nuestro evento el sábado 29 de septiembre para celebrar la recuperación con los problemas de alcohol y drogas. That was harder than I thought. Okay. Thank you. So we realize that your time is very valuable, but if you have never seen someone in recovery, we'd love to have you come out and see, because as a treatment provider, I know recovery is something that can't be touched, but when you're in its presence, you see it and you feel it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you all very much. Okay. Next item is item 7, and who's joining me here? Ms. Sullivan, come on up. How are you? How are you? Good to see you. You too. How you doing? Good morning. All right. Every year, our community embarks on a literary journey centered around one book, an entire county reading the same book and allowing for education, enlightenment, and communication of ideas and thoughts to flourish. Since 2002, the One Book Project has sought to promote reading in our community, and this year's choice is one that is sure to stir debate. This year's One Book Project choice by the Kern County Library is Incarceration Nations by Baz Dreisinger. This book explores the prison system by telling the human stories of those who find themselves incarcerated all over the world, a discussion on those who imprison them, and a rethinking of the modern prison complex. In conjunction with the Kern County Library, California State University Bakersfield, and Bakersfield College, the Kern County Board of Supervisors proclaims Incarceration Nations as the One Book Project selection for 2018. And so I have Andy Sullivan here with us, our Director of Libraries, and so I'll present this proclamation. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed Incarceration Nations as the 2018 Read for One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern, and this recognition has been entered into our official minutes, signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mike Maggard. Come on forward. There you are. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Maggard, members of the board. Thank you for proclaiming the next 2 months, really. One book, one Bakersfield, one Kern. We call it the One Book Project, so we always choose one book, and Supervisor Scrivener is correct. This will probably promote and engage the community and which is what we want. This is our 16th year of leading the effort. It's been 8 years leading the effort with Cal State Bakersfield. We engage the community. Cal State engages the campus community. We come together, and hopefully we have a fruitful discussion. Jasmine Labasso behind me, she's been coordinating this effort this year, so she's going to tell you a little bit about the programming and some of our partners, who we have really strong partners this year.
So we're doing something really, really exciting this year. In the past, since we usually choose a nonfiction book and impart discussion upon that book, we have made several other titles, accompanying titles, available to the public to join in on the discussion. So if you are interested in reading a memoir and want to read Orange is the New Black instead, you can join the discussion. If you want to read a fiction book and read The Execution of Noah P. Singleton, you can read that book. If you'd prefer to read a popular title such as Holes, you can read that as well and join in on the discussion. We have a total of 7 titles this year, all centering around Incarceration Nations themes. This year as well, we are kicking off this Thursday at 10 a.m. at Bakersfield College. Jim St. Germain, an author who wrote the book A Stone of Hope and was a youth that was in and out of juvenile detention centers and who is a testament of rehabilitation, will be speaking after we have our program leaders speak on the program. We also have several other author events, book discussions, crafts, family story times, film screenings, panel discussions, a resource fair for former inmates. We have a whole bunch of programs this year, all included in your brochure, and we hope that the public attends and joins the discussion.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much. We're going to have our public presentations made at the end of the meeting this morning. We don't have a very long meeting, but we'll take public presentations at the end of the meeting this morning. Next, we're going to go to board member announcements and reports. Supervisor Gleason, I believe you'd like to say something?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I had the privilege yesterday of attending the Portrait of a Warrior Gallery on I Street. I'm sure many of you read about it in the newspaper today. A beautiful, beautiful compilation of portraits of warriors who have died, offered their lives in defense of our country since 9/11. So post 9/11, and our Kern County warriors who have paid the full measure of loyalty to our country. And I was truly, truly impressed, and I truly recommend that everybody get a chance to go to its 1926 I Street. As a combat veteran myself, I can tell you that that honor goes a long way and is truly reflective of the quality of people and the quality of the county that we live in. So on behalf of all the veterans in Kern County, and thanking the 86 Gold Star families who came from all over the country to participate in this opening red ribbon cutting ceremony. I'd just like to thank Lily Marsh and her team for doing such a wonderful job of taking a moment, making the world stop spinning, and thanking the people who gave their full measure of devotion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Perez.
We still have a few slots for tomorrow's blood drive. It'll be here outside of the county building. Please call my office. Of course, if you give, you'll get a fare pass and a parking pass. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you. Next is item number 18, which is a proposed memorandum of agreement with Lyft Incorporated. Ms. Hitchcock, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Maggard, members of the board. This is a much-awaited agreement, at least from the public's perspective, to allow the transportation network companies to provide transportation services at Meadows Field Airport. This agreement is with Lyft Incorporated, and the agreement will provide the opportunity for the public to use Lyft as an option for transportation to and from the airport. The agreement will also provide income to the airport on a per-trip basis, helping to support the cost involved for the proper maintenance and compliance of the agreement. Therefore, it is recommended that your board approve the agreement, authorize the chairman to sign, and authorize the interim director of airports to issue the permit to Lyft in accordance with the agreement and respective county ordinance.
Thank you. Colleagues, do you have any questions before we hear from the public? Would any members of the public like to comment with regard to this new opportunity at the airport? Yes, sir. Would you like to say something? Please come forward. Good morning, sir. Could you give us your name for the record, please?
My name is Jeffrey Rasinski. I'm owner of Blue Star Taxi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Philosophically, I have no issue with Lyft picking up and dropping off at the airport. My concern is with the insurance coverage of these Lyft vehicles. Keep in mind there's kind of a legal gray area, as the Lyft drivers, Uber drivers are not employees of Lyft and Uber. They are contractors. They own their cars. They're responsible for maintaining, fueling, and insuring their cars. Lyft and Uber are under the regulation of the California Public Utilities Commission, which has put into place minimum insurance requirements to operate. However, there's no enforcement mechanism, and though I know that many Uber and Lyft drivers do buy the minimum commercial liability insurance policy mandated by the state, many more do not. Your personal car insurance does not cover when the vehicle is being used for hire. Now, I understand that Lyft has some kind of umbrella policy that will take care of the airport's minimum insurance requirements, which I think is $1 million, per occurrence. But if the driver is not in compliance with state regulations, there is no insurance in place, and I'm not sure that an umbrella policy that Lyft might have to cover where the driver's commercial policy leaves off would cover. I think you might find yourself in a position where an accident will occur by a Lyft driver who has not purchased the proper commercial liability insurance, and the liability could very well fall with the county and ultimately the taxpayers who pay the county. So I don't object per se to them picking up out there, but I think there needs to be a way for the county to certify the Lyft drivers that do pick up there have purchased the minimum commercial liability policy mandated by the state of California. As a taxi cab owner who actually works out at the airport, I have $1 million vehicle liability, $2 million aggregate general liability. These certificates of insurance are on file with the county. The county is named as an additional insured, and I comply. There's no way of knowing without checking whether the Lyft drivers picking up at the airport have actually purchased this insurance. Up to this point, the ride-hailing companies, if you will, have not really stepped forward to accept regulation. What regulation they have accepted has more or less been forced on them by various communities. So if you let them pick up here, just make sure that the ones who are picking up have the proper insurance so that the taxpayers aren't on the hook for a bad accident.
Thank you, sir, for expressing your concern.
Thank you.
Mr. Nations, do you have a response to that question or concern?
We've looked into this, Mr. Chairman. The insurance provided and required to be provided by Lyft is that which is required by the California Public Utilities Commission. As the speaker said, they are regulated by the CPUC. They are providing the insurance necessary as required by the regulations. Our agreement is with Lyft. It is not with the individual drivers who receive a notification on their phone that they have somebody who wants to be picked up to be taken to the airport. Lyft, of course, is required to verify that they have the insurance that's required by the CPUC. And if Lyft fails in that, they are in violation of their agreement with us, and we have recourse under the terms of the contract to deal with that at that time. I think that would conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Nations. Do any other members of the public have a question or a comment about this item, item number 18? I'm going to return to the board then. Board, what is your pleasure?
My understanding, summarizing what you just said, Mr. Nations, is that our concern for liability is with Lyft, not the driver. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I'll make a motion on staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Any other comments? Is there a second to that motion? Supervisor
Second.
Perez.
I'll make the second, and then I punched in separately.
Oh, very good.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chairman.
Would you like to make a comment about this item then?
No,
Oh,
but
it's-
thank you. But it's a very exciting, upwardly mobile move for Kern County.
Yeah.
So since my chairman put me on the spot, I had to say something.
Sorry.
So thank you.
I didn't understand why you punched in. I apologize. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
Thank you. Item number 21 was pulled from consent this morning. It is a proposed resolution designating behavioral health and recovery services as the single point of contact and authorizing the director to sign documents to apply for a homeless mentally ill outreach and treatment program. And Mr. Walker, are you going to explain this, or is somebody from the CAO's office? Good morning, Mr. Walker.
Good morning, thank you. Bill Walker, Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Director, and I am trying to get the PowerPoint to work. I said as a director I could push a button, and now we're testing that. There we go. Thank you. Bill Walker, and I'm joined by Jessica Jansen, United Way of Kern County, who will also mention some additional funds. We're going to cover REACH Healing Project and SB 840. SB 840 is what's being voted on today, but they all fall together. So the REACH program that we've been talking about is the additional 20 additional outreach workers that will be funded into the community for Greater Bakersfield. These will be individuals that will work to get the holistic outcomes of increasing the number of individuals that are successfully linked to services and increasing the number of individuals remaining engaged in services, therefore decreasing people living in homelessness. In addition to the 20 people in Bakersfield, each geographic area is being targeted for 1 to 3 additional staff. So we're talking Tehachapi, Ridgecrest, Delano, Kern River Valley. I mean, I could go through them all, Taft, but we mean all of the areas. The Healing Project is up to 24 hours of sheltered service for someone who's under the influence. Not someone who just has a drug problem, but law enforcement, hospital discharge, drugs related. They can bring them to the Healing Project building, and they will be able to work with them and connect them to additional services. We've already located one. We have the funds are already set aside for these 2 projects. One will be in the Kern River Valley, and one will be in Greater Bakersfield, and we're looking for the location. Again, with the idea of immediate shelter and service options for the individuals we see on the street right now that are suffering from addiction, and the increase the number of individuals immediately getting linked to services, decreasing people living in homelessness, which brings us to SB 840, which is your vote today. The Homeless Mentally Ill Outreach and Treatment Program, HMIOT, California Senate Bill 840, $50 million. Sounds like a lot. There's 58 counties. We're not one of the bigger ones. Our part of that in the 3rd bullet is $376,000. We are going to use that money in concert with the REACH program to leverage 5 additional REACH staff to specifically target the hardest to reach. And we are looking to get peer navigators, because quite often, whether it's AA, whether it's vets, you take any group, taking someone who has the lived experience helps get the hardest to reach. And so we're going to use that money as a pilot, because it's one-time dollars, to pilot a peer-navigated system. And if we see promise with that, we will find a way to fund it to the future under our own funds. But that's how we're going to use this money initially. In concert with that, I've asked Jessica Jansen to mention a few things that the collaborative is also pulling together for us.
Good morning, Ms. Jansen.
Good morning, Chairman Maggard, members of the board. As Director Walker said, my name is Jessica Jansen, and I am the Homelessness Projects Manager for United Way of Kern County. United Way of Kern County serves as the collaborative applicant and the fiscal agent for the Kern County Homeless Collaborative, and most recently was designated to serve as the administrative entity for approximately $4 million in one-time state funding. There are 2 separate pots of money within this one-time funding: the Homeless Emergency Aid Program, or HEAP, and the California Emergency Solutions and Housing Funds, or SESH. Yesterday, the Kern County Homeless Collaborative approved a plan for utilization of both the HEAP and CASH funds based on eligible uses for each pot of money that directly coincide with the goals laid out in our updated 10-year plan to end homelessness. A summary of the approved uses include funds that we anticipate will make an immediate impact, funds that will expand housing access, and funds that will enhance and expand resources for a long-term impact. Uses of funding that will quickly shelter and house homeless persons and prevent homelessness include 300 new homeless prevention beds, 564 new rapid rehousing beds, 300 days of motel vouchers for homeless persons in rural areas, and bridge housing to temporarily house up to 300 homeless persons over the next 3 years while they're accessing permanent housing. Uses of funding for permanent supportive housing and increased access to housing include 135 new permanent supportive housing beds for 36 months, funding to pay for move-in costs for 133 homeless households, including 48 homeless youth, and funding to increase incentives for landlords to rent to homeless persons. We also plan to leverage this funding to create and expand resources to improve support for homeless persons, and that includes leveraging community donations and other public funds to help fund the construction of new shelter beds for single women and families, leveraging funding from healthcare providers to create 12 respite care beds for medically vulnerable homeless persons, and leveraging one-time local funds to fully implement a coordinated entry system. As I stated earlier, the uses of this funding directly correlates with the goals and objectives that we laid out in our updated 10-year plan to end homelessness. We look forward to continuing to work alongside you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walker.
Thank you for indulging us. We went beyond what the vote is today, which is for the SB 840 funds of $376,000. But we felt it was imperative for us to bring forward to this board and the public actions that are happening right now that don't even include what you'll see written in the paper today, that the city is also taking action on. So thank you, and we're available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Are there any members of the public that would like to ask a question or make a comment about this item? Supervisor Perez, would you like to say something?
I'll be brief, Chairman. Bill, this is very exciting. We have never had some of these services in Kern County, period, in our 150-year history. So this is real progress in addressing an issue that is become a public safety and public health crisis, not just here, but all over the country. And so to take these kind of actions that are efficient, that are better to the taxpayer, that are better to the recipient, just makes sense, Bill. And we have an unprecedented investment in homeless dollars from the state of California that we've not seen before. This $376,000 is a one-time pot. We get to have it by October. We would have this check cut in October for aggressive outreach to the community for people, many of whom we know need serious intervention and mental health crisis intervention. So this is very exciting. And on this subject, Bill, I think the most historically important period of my time on this board, 6 years of watching what we're doing in the substance abuse world. You've been screaming from the mountaintop about being more open and serious about this issue and its relationship to public health. So hats off to you. This is exciting. There are a lot of dollars that we've never had access to before, Bill. And so a regular check-in with you about, maximizing every single dollar so that, so many resources are not going to an issue that we can be doing so much better on. So, Bill, thank you, and I look forward to seeing more money come down. I don't know if you know, but Supervisor Zach Scrivener and I were in Sacramento last week lobbying hard at CSAC for these dollars, for these specific purposes, to direct them now. And we can have this money in October. So thank you.
Very good. Any other questions from members of the board? The recommended action is to approve and adopt the resolution.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Couch.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One more indulgence. I just want to mention Jose Gonzalez, who's now working in the CEO's office, is doing really good work to help coordinate these services, and I didn't want all the praise to go in our direction. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. We are going to hear that the presentation of the certificate now to Monsignor Harrison, and Supervisor Gleason will do that. Good morning.
You're late.
I know. Dead people love me.
A lot of people do too. But I know that as if I was late to Mass on Sunday, Father Jim would have me sit in the back row, be quiet, say nothing, and just do my business and leave. So I know how it goes. But it's an honor to be. I can't imagine having a moment to celebrate something and honor a man. Like, I can't imagine spending a better morning just having a conversation. I bet we could just sit back and talk of your contributions to this community, and we'd go on and on and on. We'd have a blast. It would be fun, and it would be so meaningful for all of us. So I said it here, I just reflect all 5 of us up there, and I reflect the whole county when I say thank you for being such a vital member of our community. This is just another example of what you do. I could be here all day, but I'm not, because you got more people to take care of, right? I'm ready. Okay, well, I got a certificate of recognition to Monsignor Craig Harrison, recipient for the inaugural Hands of Hope Award by the Comprehensive Blood and Cancer Center, the CBCC Foundation for Community Wellness, and for exemplary public service and civic contributions to community and to Kern County, signed by all 5 supervisors. So this is yours, Monsignor Craig. For people who don't know, there are people in the outskirts of Kern County who don't know you. Not many, but there are a couple. And I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about, so everybody properly understands Monsignor Craig and who he is, what he is, and how he has meant so much to so many people in his parish and throughout Kern County. Father Craig is a Roman Catholic priest since 1987. I saw the videos when you went back to Italy a couple months ago, when you were doing some PSAs, whatever you're doing, discussion of points, and I was following you on Facebook, and you were reading some lessons learned or some thoughts you had. It was just wonderful to watch you back there. Born and raised in Bakersfield. He's one of our own. I mean, he's from here. He's here, and he's representing his faith as best he can in such a wonderful way, and it's so refreshing to have a man of his education, someone who graduated from UCLA, a degree in business and economics, a minor in psychology, seminary at St. John's in Camarillo, and a master's degree in divinity. And don't you have adopted?
I have 8 children and 19 grandchildren.
So I was talking to my sister. I said, you know, this priest has children. You know, it's unheard of. But yeah, they adopted. I said, yeah, he's got a child. And my sister says, no, he's got a bunch of them. So you got eight adopted?
8 adopted children and 19 grandkids.
Outstanding. Outstanding. He's the pastor of St. Francis Church in the Mojave and the St. Joseph Church in Fireball. He is currently the pastor of St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church in his hometown parish where he grew up. So I could go on and on, but Father, it's just great to have you in our community. You elevate the quality of life throughout our community. We are so grateful to have someone like you with the humility, the humbleness, and the faith, and the sense of humor, and it's a pleasure to know you, and don't be late again. That's yours.
I do apologize for being late, but I have to tell you, I got the best part. Just listening to that on the homeless issues here, hats off to your work in the homeless. I see Lewis Gill and all these people that do it. I appreciate, this is really nice to be acknowledged. Those are the people that are doing the work. And so thank you guys very much for this nice honor. And I tell you, I'm the blessed one to be a part of Bakersfield. Thank you.
Monsignor? Yeah, let's clap for Monsignor first.
Oh.
Monsignor and I are both native sons of Bakersfield, and I told you I had a newspaper clipping from about 50 years ago. His father, Don Harrison, a wonderful man in our community, and my father, Bill Maggard, were on the board of Jack Frost together. So if you meet me over here, I'll just give you this newspaper clipping. So let's, yeah, photograph.
I want to get a picture of you. This is a classic. This is a keeper. I'm going to go with my sister. Yeah, I met the guy.
I can feel the sin.
I'm surprised he's still standing. Outstanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Supervisor Perez is going to say something.
Yeah.
Father Craig, everywhere I go throughout the state, I tell people that I know that I have met the most talented person in all of California. And I say that because not only do you and have you devoted your life to comforting our most hurt and lost people, but you do it with such pizzazz, whether it's at the theater or Dancing with the Stars, or however it is you bring people together. You're one of a kind. Thank you.
We now offer an opportunity for the public to come and talk to us about any matters that are not otherwise on our agenda. We've dealt with the rest of our agenda items this morning. Are there any members of the public that would like to say something this morning to us? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Dominic Brown, and I am the Executive Director of KSARA. I'd like to thank you for allowing me just a brief moment to publicly clarify my response to an inquiry I received when I was here 2 weeks ago during budget hearings regarding employer contribution rates related to retirement. The rates that were calculated by the KSARA actuary and approved by the Board of Retirement and by the Board of Supervisors for the fiscal year 2018-2019 are as follows. 38.21% for general and 67.29% for safety. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Who would be next? Feel free to come forward and just give us your name for the record, and please proceed. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Maggard and the board. I know y'all know who I am. I've been here many, many times. But I sent an email last week with no response. Lisa Woods, LISA-WOODS. I sent an email last week. I'm just going to read the email, and I have a few brief things after that. It's a huge concern for me and my community, and I'm not going to stop. It says, Board of Supervisors, I am sending this email in an attempt to further express my concerns with the issues in our community and with the Kern County Sheriff's Office. My name is Lisa Woods, and I know you're aware of who I am. I have attended several Board of Supervisors meetings over the last year and a half, as well as speaking to Mr. Maggard on the phone and through text messages. My concerns have broadened over time as I have learned more and more about the problems in my community. I know my community is not the only one having these issues. What prompted me to attend a Board of Supervisors meeting was a concern with the illegal activity next door to one of my businesses. It was an internet cafe that participates in illegal gambling. I contacted the Kern County Sheriff's Office, and I was told they do not have the staffing resources or a dedicated task force to handle these illegal gambling businesses. I really got to think about all the illegal gambling casinos, massage parlors, and marijuana shops that are in our area. I called the Bakersfield Police Department to see how they handle these issues and what is different about the city and the county. Bakersfield City has city ordinances and dedicated task force to handle these same issues that we have in the county. So the county does not have the county ordinances to deal with these issues, and the Kern County Sheriff's Office does not have the proper staffing or dedicated task force to deal with these issues. These illegal businesses operate in the county. This in turn brings crime to the areas that they set up in. Crimes like drugs, prostitution, loitering, littering, robberies, burglaries, thefts, vehicle thefts, etc. Not to mention we already have enough of that going on and we're just adding to it. I ended up calling the state gambling department to see what we could do on a state level, at least for the gambling issue. They did come down, collaborated with the Kern County Sheriff's Office, and conducted a sweep of these illegal gambling casinos. While the FBI was down doing this, I came to my first Board of Supervisors meeting with a plea to help out the Oildale area. I expressed my concerns about our Sheriff's Office being understaffed and stated it had to be a budget issue because I know our Sheriff's Office would never just ignore the illegal activity that was increased tremendously. Mr. Maggard, you immediately told me that the budget was not the problem at all. I believed you since I'm really not educated on the political side of all of this. So after that meeting, I was contacted by you, Mr. Maggard, and Mr. Constantine on coming up with ideas regarding the massage parlors. And an investigation went underway, ordinance were put into place, and the parlor prostitution rings were and still are being shut down. Since all this was happening to clean up the area, I was extremely happy, and with that continued effort that I thought you, Mr. Maggard, and the Board of Supervisors were doing. As we fast forward today, I'm in shock to learn that all the efforts put forth to clean up the area were at the expense of our very own depleted Sheriff's Office. I have learned lately that the Kern County Sheriff's Office is so understaffed and working so hard for so little. They've continued to ask for you, Mr. Maggard, and the Board of Supervisors to help them with better pay, a larger budget, to train and hire new deputies to replenish their diminished staffing levels, and you've given them nothing. They all have dedicated their very own lives, including their spouses and children's lives, to serve this community and to make it a safe place to raise a family and operate a business. It is about time that you give them the tools they need to do what they so desire to do. We need more deputies on the streets to protect this community. The casinos are a continued problem.
and keep reopening. And the Kern County Sheriff's Office is so understaffed they cannot keep up with them. So harsher punishment needs to be implemented against these illegal businesses. I attended a Board of Supervisors meeting a few meetings ago to express the board that I would return to a future meeting and armed with statistics and research in regards of what I previously mentioned. But I changed my mind when I attended the KLEA rally and Board of Supervisors meeting after. If listening to the testimonies of all of that spoke doesn't convince you to do what is right, no statistics will. I am not a part of the Kern County Sheriff's Office, but I stand with them. I may only be one of the people you serve, and I'm on a mission to clean up our area and fix the broken system that you, Mr. Maggard, and the Board of Supervisors are all in charge of. It doesn't matter what it takes. I may only be one person, but give me some time and I'll bring the whole community. And I meant every single word of that. I mean, you guys have to understand us coming in from the community. I don't know, I'm not educated. I don't have huge money in my pocket. I'm just a business owner. But I have something better than that. And I have heart, I have commitment, I have dedication, and I have hope, along with every single person behind me. And that, to me, means more and more than anything that you guys all can do. Because election's coming up pretty soon. And to be honest, these are the men and women that need to be up here, because then maybe things will start getting done. My community, my family, and everybody who lives in it is far more important than all this political bullcrap, if you ask me. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Vince Martinez, and I'm a small business owner here in Kern County. I came here today to address the dire staffing levels the Kern County Sheriff's Office is faced with. Approximately 3 weeks ago, there was a mass shooting event that occurred in Jacksonville, Florida at a video game tournament. Within 2 minutes of the first call, Jacksonville had deputies on scene conducting life-saving rescue operations as well as searching for the active shooter. The situation is tragic, but had it not been for Jacksonville taking public safety seriously and having a well-trained and well-staffed department, the situation would have been much worse. The harsh reality is if this occurred in Kern County, it'd be nothing short of a miracle to have a deputy on scene within 2 minutes. One deputy would be completely ineffective to search for a shooter, as well as begin evacuating people. It is likely that for much of this county that it would take a deputy 10 or more minutes to arrive on scene to an active shooter call, and their backup officers could be as far as 10 to 30 minutes away. And I'm not talking about remote areas of the desert or some oil rig out off of Highway 33. I'm talking about areas that are fairly populated, areas that have schools like Fraser Park, Lost Hills, Glenville, Buttonwillow, most of the desert communities, and for me personally, most importantly, my own son's elementary school. The harsh reality is it's not if, it is a matter of when will our county be struck with a domestic terror attack. And you can sit there today and say your hands are tied, there's nothing that the board can do. But the harsh reality is when we have a double-digit loss of life, and this room is filled with outraged parents, when CNN walks through that door asking questions, somehow, some way, this board is going to figure out how to put more deputies on the streets. So my question is, do you want to do it now and save lives, or would you rather wait until we have a stack of dead bodies and people across this nation outraged at what could have been prevented? You can be an example like Jacksonville, or you can be a disgrace like Parkland is, where 17 kids lost their lives just trying to get an education. The blame will not be on the sheriff's office when it takes 10 or 15 minutes for a deputy to arrive on scene. The blame will be on this board. But rather than talk about something abstract that everybody hopes won't happen, but unfortunately one day will strike our county, I want to talk about something that happens all too often in this county: officer-involved shootings. Study after study has found that a lone officer on the scene of anything from a traffic stop to a call for service is 2 to 4 times as likely to be involved in a shooting than if 2 officers were on scene. Las Vegas found that almost 70% of all their officer-involved shootings occurred when there was 1 officer on scene. It doesn't matter who conducts the study: Northwestern University, San Diego County District Attorney's Office, New York City Police, big agency, small agency. The demographics of the community don't matter. There is a disproportionate number of officer-involved shootings that occur when a single officer is on scene. By not staffing this department properly, you're not only risking the lives of the men and women behind me, you're directly responsible for the high number of shootings this county is involved in every year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Brittany Horton. I am a deputy with the Kern County Sheriff's Office. I have been with the Sheriff's Office approximately 4 years. Currently, I am assigned to the Central Receiving Facility where I await my opportunity to go patrol.
Each day I put on a uniform and go to work knowing full well I find myself in harm's way. I am not special in that regard, as every man and woman who wears this uniform knows full well that every time they go to work, they may be severely injured or killed. I brought a photo. Unfortunately, it was deemed too graphic for the public and you guys to see. It's sad to know that this graphic material is something we face every day. Can you imagine what it'd be like to be viciously attacked for simply doing your job? Of course you cannot. Can you imagine what it would be like to know you may be seriously injured or killed on any given day just because of part of your job description calls for you to willingly put yourself in harm's way? No, I do not think you can. Do you know why? Because you sit up there and make decisions for how this county should run. You are guarded and protected by a Kern County Sheriff's deputy who potentially give their lives to keep yours safe. You as supervisors wake up in the morning and plan what you will be eating for lunch. I wake up and wonder if I will even get to eat my lunch. You put on a suit or a skirt and look for your matching shoes. I put on my uniform and boots, both worn out from extensive hours of abuse. You leave your house with plans of a weekend trip with your loved ones. I leave my house knowing I'm missing the birth of my niece to cover another shift due to short staffing. I wish you could see the picture that I had brought for you. This deputy, covered in blood, he did not wake up knowing that this is how his shift would go. He didn't take time off or time to heal and cope from the incident. He returned to work with stitches the very next morning, knowing full well he could be attacked again. We as deputies are just like him. We took an oath to serve and protect the citizens of the county, but the oath comes with a price. It is often being measured by the blood loss and broken bones, even measured by our death. In addition to the physical toll this job takes on us, it takes a toll on our personal lives. Our family lives suffer. Having worked substantial hours and overtime simply to make ends meet takes time away from our spouses, our children, our holidays, birthdays, school functions, and so on. This career will leave the overwhelming majority of us with physical and emotional scars. While you sit up there in your glass houses and your beach houses and decide if we deputies are just gonna have to keep doing more with less, remember the face. I wish I could have shown you the photo. Remembering his sacrifice he made, knowing full well in the very moment that I am speaking to you, there's a deputy out there right now who's possibly and more likely in harm's way. A sacrifice can be defined as an act of giving up something important or valued for the sake of other considerations considered and regarded as more important or worthy. You see what we as deputies are willing to have and will continue to sacrifice for this community. I believe it's time that you show us some appreciation for these continuous sacrifices. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
My name is Jason Luker. In society, there are the givers, the takers, and those who sacrifice. Communities are built on the shoulders of those who sacrifice. As Kern County Sheriff deputies, we're willing to make that sacrifice. We go out every day knowing the night before could be our last night with our family. Just like you, we kiss our family goodbye every morning. But the big difference is, unlike the vast majority, there's no guarantee we will return safely to our loved ones that night. As you enjoy the comfort of the security that officers provide, we are responding to situations that turn from routine to risky, like that. While you may fret about deadlines at work, we have to worry that someone may try to harm or even kill us. You go out throughout the day, think how terrible air quality is here in Bakersfield. We're out there and we're wondering if that white powder drifting through the air is fentanyl. Do you have any idea what it's like to leave your house for work and have your children cry and plead for you to stay? That they are so afraid of your safety, they pray every day that you come back home to them unharmed. Then the call comes in. There's a reported subject with a gun. You're the only deputy around to respond because of low staffing. All of a sudden, your children's words echo in the back of your mind. But we as deputies fight through this because we have accepted the awesome responsibility of serving and protecting the public. Have you ever had to explain to your children why people hate you when they themselves see you as heroes? Have you ever had to explain to your children that people want to hurt them all because of the uniform you wear? We as deputies would expect you, the Board of Supervisors, to be grateful to those men and women who have courage to go out to work every day knowing they may face the ultimate sacrifice.
To be grateful to those men and women who sacrifice their family life to ensure other families' lives are safe. We go for days without seeing our spouse or children. I leave my house 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. I don't get home till 10 o'clock at night. My work week consists of 4 straight days. So that's 4 days I don't see my children. That's 4 days my children don't see me. That's 4 days my wife has to reassure my children that I am safe. I'll be honest, as a deputy, I feel like the Board of Supervisors aren't grateful for all the sacrifices we are making. Your mission statement says it is your duty to enhance the quality of life in Kern County by protecting and serving our citizens. Yet, the violent crime rate is up, and the deputy count is down. There's a general consensus among deputies that the Board of Supervisors feels contempt towards us, and you're showing you don't care about public safety every day by ignoring the mass exodus of deputies in search of better paying benefits. As deputies, we're serving a calling that requires us to put the safety of others ahead of our own well-being. In return, our county officials have an obligation to ensure our law enforcement officials have the tools, resources, and support to do their jobs effectively and to stay safe as possible. Make the Sheriff Department a better place where deputies want to work. Most everyone I know in this department wants to stay here, but can't afford it for their own safety. We're at a precipice. Enough is enough. It is time for you, the Board of Supervisors, to show us we are wanted. Show us you are willing to give the Sheriff's Department the pay and benefits we deserve. Show us that you actually want to do what you've been sworn in to do.
How you doing? My name is Chad Garcia-Mione, Supervisor Mick Gleason, Supervisor Letitia Perez. Thank you for joining us yesterday at the Portrait of a Warrior Art Gallery. We appreciate that. On behalf of the Post 9/11 Committee, it meant a lot to see our local government out there. I'm going to list off some names for you. Christine Hansen, David Brandhorst, Juliana McCourt, Bernard Brown, Asia Cotton, Rodney Dickens, Dana Falkenberg, and Zoe Falkenberg. Those are the 8 children that died in 9/11 17 years ago. On my second deployment, we had a child walk up to us about 50, 60 feet away with what we thought was a rock. It wasn't a rock. One of my guys in front of me yelled out grenade, and of course we took cover because that's what we're trained to do. She was too far from our point man to do anything, take her out the situation, so you can imagine what happened to her when that grenade dropped. See, somebody had given her that grenade, pulled the pin, told her to walk over to us and drop it at our feet. We couldn't save her. These deputies behind me, they see similar things every day. They see children raped, beaten, thrown out their cars by their own parents and buried like dogs. We talk about suicide, something I know something very much about, having lost 3 of my brothers that I served with to suicide just after my last deployment alone, and of course my mother this past November. Suicide is very real. I've contemplated it. And I know for a fact that some of these men and women behind me have probably contemplated it at some time. There's got to be at least 1 or 2. So when I heard a couple of weeks ago that they came up and spoke to you and that they were threatened to be removed from the room just for voicing their concern, it made my blood boil, because I couldn't imagine my congressman or the VA official asking me to calm down or be removed from the room when I'm voicing my concern about how the VA is not taking care of us. That is why I'm here. That is why I stand 100% beside each and every one of these people behind me and those who can't make it because they're spending 4 days at a time away from their families. They need your help. If anyone on this board understands, Supervisor, it's you, Supervisor Mick Gleason. You know what selfless service is, personal sacrifice. They need our help. Not just yours, they need ours. And I stand behind them. Oh, and thank you for fixing our war memorial. I appreciate it. I came here 2 days after it was done, and you didn't do it, Supervisor Mike Maggard. You sent me over to the city. It's on video, by the way. Anybody can check it out. But you recently did it on your own.
Well,
One can only imagine why you did that, sir.
It was, I had a very small role in helping the community fix that. Good morning.
Gentlemen, I've been here, God, uncountless amounts.
We have your name for the record, sir?
Well, James. I've been here off and on ever since 2005. My dad came back destroyed, otherwise he'd be here to talk to you. He took around in a tank. My uncle worked for the president. He lost all of his teeth to Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos at the dinner table. Had another uncle who was dual capacity United States Marshal Sheriff. Had another uncle who was chief of police Indianapolis, Indiana. So what? Some people say. I miss them. The fight that they took was the same one that was at Bataan. At one point, a principal stood, I have the video of it if you have enough courage to come to me and ask me to watch it. It's only about 2 minutes of your time. And it's of a school teacher in Bataan, actually a principal. And the Japanese enemy officer at the time said, "You'll take down that American flag." And he didn't utter a word. He just shook his head no. He said, "You'll take down that flag or we'll hang you by that flag, by the cords of the flagpole." And the little boy, no bigger than about this tall, ran to the aid of his principal to help him. And the Japanese officer took the rifle and he plunged the kid. And the kid's body laid on the ground, probably lifeless. And the teacher ran up after that point and she said, "In all of God and humanity, would you please take down that flag?" And he just shook his head one more time. Not one word was uttered this day. Just shook his head no. And the Japanese officer took the cords of the flagpole and he wrapped it around the principal's neck and hung him by the flagpole, the American flagpole. That's a hell of a sacrifice. Now, recently, well, in the last few years, I've been attacked more times than I can count with my government. And when I bring issues up at VA Memorial Cemetery memorials with you, Zach, I tried to bring it up. I said, the Kern County Roads Department, Zach, there's no flag on that pole. I don't even think there's one today. Hasn't been. The flag in front of the VA post, Veterans VA site where we go to make pass our votes for you guys, is all tattered and torn. And one of my vet friends says, "Could you help me probably see if we could get this flagpole up and working so we could get this tattered flag down?" It's been like that a long time, Zach. And I don't see anybody coming to me. When I talked to you at the cemetery, you just like flew past me. You didn't ask me anything. You never called me back. You never done anything with me. You never worked with me. This whole county has never worked with me on my flag issues. But I tell you this, one day, about 2008, I spoke in this room, and mysteriously, that flag was changed out. It had gold fringe back then. And somebody took that gold fringe off of that flag. Thank you. I don't think it was any of you people. But the law states that the flag, the highest, the American flag should be at the highest in the building or over the entrance of the building. Now, Kern County Tax Collector's Office and building people up here, they got a gold fringe flag. Now, I'm telling you, I did a lot of research on this, and that's a desecrated flag. God, don't let me talk about the tax man like this. Don't let me talk about all these other places like our courthouses where they threw 5-day jail time at me for asking about their flag display during my jury duty. Now, I tell you this, I took an oath to the flag, singular, not plural. And I didn't take it to Satan and Allah. Like, you go to YouTube, and I hope everybody, even you officers, take note of this. Go to YouTube and type in commissioners in Florida do the Pledge of Allegiance to Satan and Allah, and watch them do it. Now, you commissioners don't have that kind of authority to play games with my flag or my oath. This oath was set up so you guys would adhere to that oath and represent our interests, not your own. Now, Zach, I got to tell you that, you know, that was a nice sidewalk setup you did down there in Mojave, but on all four corners of, well, 17 placards were placed out there in Mojave with your name and the wind farms. Now, out of all that money that was spent on those placards, couldn't you found some time to put a proper flag in the court without gold fringe? Couldn't you have done something about the flag I just had removed in honor of my vets? Not you, in honor of my vets.
Mr. James, I've let you go 3 times the normal time to speak, so could you draw your comments to a close?
God bless the United States of America. Is that short enough for you?
I do agree with you, sir.
But I'm tired of the crap. Please take down, we got the gold fringe flag out of the veterans facility. It just went back up because some selfish individual put it back up. And when that eagle and the spear and the ball are up there, the president should be in the room whenever the eagle is on the mast. It should always be a gold ball for recruiting purposes, unless you're under courts martial, then you're under a spear. A lot of this bullshit.
Mr. Alsop, I don't have any recollection of the conversation that Mr. James Ban mentioned, but I would like us to investigate whether or not we do have any flags that are tattered or otherwise in disrepair at any of the county facilities. That's a general services responsibility for all of our county facilities. So if you could ask your staff to ensure that all of our flags are in proper order. Thank you.
I would like to add one comment to that. Why don't you be a man and say, remove all those gold fringe flags from our facilities?
Your time is concluded, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Would you like to speak? Good morning.
Hi, my name is Shelley Camboj, K-A-M-B-O-J, just in case. I wasn't planning on coming up here today. I was just told by a friend that this was happening, and I wanted to take an opportunity. My family has been in Kern County since 1992. We're small business owners. We own about 11 businesses here in Kern County, and they're scattered all around. 2 years ago, we started seeing an influx of robberies taking place. One of our Denny's on Merle Haggard was robbed. It took, the robbery happens at 9 a.m. It took about till 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. for someone to come out and just take a report. And when they finally did come out, the reason they couldn't come out was because there was 14 other issues that had happened that day that needed more investigation than ours did. And so there we were just waiting for someone to show up, and it was about 20 grand, not a small sum. Then fast forward to last year, we opened a new gas station. They break the glass, they take the cigarettes, and we call the police. The police come, and it takes about 2 hours this time. And then the next day, these same people come again, break the other side of the glass, take the cigarettes again. And this time we were ready. We knew they were coming. We had the license plate. We got it all on camera. And yet we couldn't make an arrest. And this is where we are right now in a community. Forget for a minute like what everyone's talking about, safety. That's a very big issue. Think about it economically, what it's doing to businesses. If you can't secure your people, you can't secure your funding, how much are you going to rely on insurance to cover the backfall? How much will they cover?
how can you continue to grow in a community where you can't guarantee safety of your employees, of your customers? About 2 months ago at Mount Vernon, our Denny's there, a customer was waiting to be seated and a homeless person came in, punched her in the face. She was very nice about it. She's like, I understand he's not well. You know, she said that to us. It took about 5 hours for someone to show up to take her report. And by that time, she was so upset at us, of course, because she was thinking we weren't handling it, at the company, willing to sue the company, all because someone just didn't come over to take her report. And it's not the police officer's fault. They're limited. There's only a few of them. There's only so much they can do, and they always feel bad about it because they see our frustration on our face. So we're asking for help as business owners. It's an economic issue. It's a safety issue. I don't want to be at a restaurant. I don't want to get a call one day where I hear that somebody brought a gun in and shot my customers. I'm here to serve pancakes. I'm here to serve whatever it is that people want. I want people to come in there and have a family experience, because not a lot of times people get to go out every week. So if they do get to go out, it should be a safe, secure environment, and our people should be protected.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. My name's Camille Burt. I'm just here in support of the Kern County Sheriff's Office. I had no intention of speaking today, so forgive me if my thoughts are a little sporadic. But I have been watching this issue for quite some time, and I just grow increasingly more passionate about it. And the reason is, I am not from Bakersfield. I moved here as a retail manager. I transferred out from Sacramento when they opened the outlets at Tejon. And as you guys know, it's a pretty far drive. But I didn't really notice anything that was going on with the Sheriff's Department until that point. Once I was out there, I realized how incredibly unsafe it was to be there. I mean, my store that I worked at, we didn't call the cops because the reality is it's going to take hours and hours and hours to show up, and nothing's going to happen. I don't know if you guys know, but they're served out of Lamont, and that drive itself is 20, 30 minutes just to get out there. And so obviously we have a lot of community members out there, and problems happened there while I was there. At the jewelry store got robbed. And there were a lot of robberies and other things and just mass stealings while I was out there. So I ended up transferring to the mall. The mall, even though it has its definite problems, it's covered by BPD, and anytime a robbery happened while I worked at the mall, they were there within minutes. It's one of those things that really made me realize what's going on in our city and in our county. And fast forward to now, and I happen to fall in love with somebody who works for the department. And I get to see it personally firsthand as basically a family member now. And if something happens to him, I mean, I'm the one that gets to let his family know. But I get to sit up every night kind of wondering what's happening. I wonder every morning when I wake up, is he gonna be, is something happened to him, or is he just stuck somewhere because somebody called out sick and nobody can come in because there's not enough bodies? So he's stuck there for 16 hours, sometimes at a time. And I have to say it's incredibly frustrating, and I am upset about it on multiple levels, and now especially since it affects me personally. And originally I just thought to myself, it'll be fine. It'll all get taken care of. We have these elected officials and they'll handle it. And so I just kind of let things go and watch from the sidelines. And then I actually watched the whole meeting where you guys talked about the tax increase potential, and where Youngblood talked about all the different cuts that he had made on his part. And I actually emailed you, my supervisor, Mike Maggard, and you got back to me and said you would like the public to have their chance to kind of vote on that. So I did appreciate that, but I'm here because I have to continue standing up for it, and my voice is just gonna get louder for it until it happens, because these people, they're protecting our community, they're protecting our livelihoods, our businesses, and they deserve the support that they need to get those things done. And side note too,
I know that we make our own cuts, or our own sacrifices financially as a family. My boyfriend pays for his own training. He's really well trained. He's been to tons of classes. He pays for them out of pocket. He pays for the gas to get there. He pays for everything, and it's thousands of dollars every year. So he puts in his financial amount there, and I would really love to see you guys back that, and I'm gonna keep showing up and keep making the community aware of this issue until it gets taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Just to kind of touch on something she said, the businesses at Tohon Outlets are leaving also. I don't know if you're aware of that. That's not why I'm here. On a day like today, I want to thank you.
Can we have your name, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Zach Biddle. I live in District 1.
Thank you.
Zach Biddle, B-I-T-T-L-E.
Good morning.
Thank you for honoring Father Craig this morning. He's one of our chaplains. I worked for the sheriff's office for the last 23 years, and he shows up late to the chaplain meeting too. So, I've come to you today to kind of to talk about sacrifice and what today means to so many Americans. On September 11, 2001, I was awakened by a phone call from my mother claiming we were under attack. I woke up my wife, who was pregnant with our first child, and told her the news. In the hours following, I knew one thing was for sure: our country would never be the same. I went to work that night on patrol in the Delano-McFarland area. I began checking perceived soft targets on my beat. I stopped on a hill overlooking one of those targets, and I looked up at the sky and thought how surreal it was to not have any planes in the sky. It's one of my most profound memories, for whatever reason, I don't know. Looking back so many years ago now, I have a pretty good understanding of sacrifice with the experience that I've gained since then working this job. Sacrifices were made by many Americans in the years following 9/11, like the gentleman that spoke earlier and his sacrifices in deployment. Supervisor Gleason, I know you as a veteran as well. Time would go on and the attacks that spawned two wars, they seem to be forgotten. Sacrifices made will never be forgotten. There's no comparison to those who lost their lives in 9/11. The firefighters, the law enforcement, the civilians, and all their families. They're still sacrificing today. I'm here today because I want to talk to you about sacrifices made by our law enforcement officers. The men and women of the Kern County Sheriff's Office sacrifice daily. Shift work makes it difficult to regularly exercise and eat properly, sacrificing our health for the job. I've had 2 knee surgeries and a back surgery in my 23-year career here. Shift work causes birthdays and holidays to be missed, sacrificing the health of the family unit. I lost count long ago of the important dates I've missed over the years. The divorce rate among law enforcement families is among the highest in any career field. Thankfully, my family unit is strong, and I have a solid home life that allows me to work this job and the many, many hours of overtime that I do work without having to worry about what's going on at home while I'm gone. A lot of us don't have that luxury. Tragedy causes you to be the bearer of bad news. I know I'm over time, I promise I'll make it brief. Tragedy causes you to be the bearer of bad news to the mother who may have just lost a child or the sister of someone who may have taken their own life. I assure you, we bear this pain and feel immense empathy for those who have lost and those who have been victimized in the most horrific way possible. You could say it sacrifices your soul a tiny bit each time you have to deal with these tragic situations. As you continue in this career, you see and hear things that cannot be unseen or unheard. In the interest of professionalism, I will not share some of the things I have seen and heard over my career. It's safe to say these things cause an emotional burden that most regular folks would not be able to bear. Today, we're in a time of incredible strife. Our deputies are fewer and fewer, crime rates are higher and higher with no true end in sight. Our elected officials at the state level have sacrificed public safety and interest of political gain, causing our job to be even more difficult than it already is. Despite this, people understand the sacrifices when they come work here. But as your board already knows, they're not staying here. They're leaving early, they're retiring, they're moving on to other agencies. Deputies are being asked to sacrifice even more time away from their family due to the staffing that you folks already know it's pretty low. As you know, Kaylee is at the negotiating table once again with your board. I implore you to think about the personal sacrifices we make for our community, our families, our physical and mental health when you come back to the table. Do not make it less safe for your districts. Your constituents deserve better law enforcement.
What are you guys going to sacrifice to make it happen? Have a great day.
Thank you, Deputy. And thank you and your colleagues for your sacrifices for all of us. Good morning, sir.
Hello, my name is Roger Davis. I'm a retired sheriff's deputy. I believe people go into law enforcement for many reasons, and I think the prevalent reasons are they want to be that knight in shining armor in service of the community, and they want an exciting career that will always be in demand and have a future. They know they won't get rich, but if they live through it, they'll have the respect and admiration of their family and friends and an equitable retirement. Law enforcement is not for the weak of mind or the weak of body or for those lacking in morals and ethics. It is a calling for the principled. Pay them fairly. This March will mark the 30th anniversary of the death of Rick McHale, a sheriff's deputy. While handling a call alone, he was beaten by his own baton and shot with his own gun by a mentally disturbed suspect. In my mind, I can still see his face. I can still hear his voice. He was a great cop and my friend. Following his death, staffing was increased for a month or so, acknowledging a problem, but doing nothing about it on a long-term basis. Since then, several deputies have died, driving too fast, trying to be everywhere. On an average night, there are 20 to 35 deputies on patrol in their cars covering 8,163 square miles and 894,000 people in the county of Kern. That's a lot of miles and a lot of people and very few deputies. George Orwell said, "We sleep safe in our beds because rough men, and I will add women, stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm." For the public's safety, there's a need for more rough men and women out there. Pay them fairly. So in closing, I have to say, I spent the last 10 years, teaching future peace officers in the Regional Academy. Most of the cadets are hired by the Sheriff's Office and the Bakersfield Police Department. Many sheriff's hires leave for better pay at the BPD. Some go to the smaller municipalities in the county for better pay. Never, until the last several years, have the small cities in the county paid better than the Sheriff's Office. The deputies haven't received a real raise in over 10 years. In fact, they've suffered takeaways by having to pay their medical insurance and their retirement packages, terms that were deemed soft money items by this county's negotiating teams and fairly bargained for in the past contracts in lieu of actual pay raises. If you don't level the wages and the benefits with other agencies, at least inside the county, then staffing will suffer both quantitatively and qualitatively. The bottom line is the ability to recruit and retain quality sheriff's deputies will pay dividends by eliminating future problems that cost money. Please, pay them fairly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your years of service. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I wanted to thank you. My name is Jim Davis. I'm also a farmer in Kern County, and I also work for Kern County Sheriff's Department. I'm CSU chief as citizens volunteer. We work close with the deputies, and we see and hear how badly they are understaffed, especially on the west side, Lost Hills, Taft, Buttonwillow. It takes another deputy good 15 to 20 minutes to help back up his partner. That's dangerous. I'm retired California Department of Forestry, 26 years of fighting fires. I understand how the backup goes. But the deputies, they need help. That's why they're calling out to you. It's serious. And I hear they're hurt.
So if you can, please find a way to help the deputies. They need it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Denise Ramsey, and I am currently retiring from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. I have been with the department since 1991 in one capacity or another, all in law enforcement. So that gives me about 27 years in. So I'm very grateful for my opportunity to serve this community. It was my desire to serve this community, and I've been very proud to do that. In my career, I've worked patrol, I've worked in the jails, and I've worked in the courthouse. In that time, I've seen a lot. I want to thank Roger Davis for acknowledging Rick McHale. He was the very first law enforcement officer funeral that I ever went to, and I was 15 years old at the time. My father was a deputy sheriff for 31 years in this community, and he and I have had some really great conversations about staffing and why he became a deputy sheriff other than for principle. Part of that was because there was a draw here years ago because of housing. Housing was affordable years ago, even when I started in 1991, not as a deputy sheriff, but as a sheriff's aide, detention officer, and then as a deputy sheriff in 1997. There were draws here, like your retirement, the fact that housing was affordable, our benefit package, which Roger Davis so beautifully pointed out that that was something that we negotiated in the past for those benefits, and they have been taken away because of financial cuts. I will tell you that I had the privilege to stand up here 10 years ago and plead with you. And I know not all of you are here. In fact, I'd like to ask all of you how long you've been on the board and sat in your positions, because I don't know. And I hope that you will answer that when I'm finished. So not all of you were here 10 years ago. I don't know that any of you were, except for maybe Mike Maggard, because I do remember him. And I'm going to tell you that I'm saying the words now that I pleaded with you 10 years ago, because we saw this trend beginning. Our inability to keep deputy sheriffs because of the rise in the cost of our economy and housing, and our lack of rise with our pay, okay? We also saw people being trained here with the sheriff's department's money and then leaving other departments. And it was happening then. We were the training grounds then. We were paying the money then for deputy sheriffs to come into this department, who then immediately left. So we have been paying money for people for years so that they could leave and go and work someplace else because they don't get enough benefits, financial benefits, medical benefits. I love that Roger Davis said, I think it was Roger, that we have received nothing in regards to pay in over 10 years, and yet now we're paying into our medical and retirement. I'm thankful that I have it. However, people are leaving in droves. You've heard it again and again, but I'm only going to reiterate it again because it needs to be said so that the people standing here and listening to this and hopefully seeing this meeting, they understand. I was here 11 years ago begging you, telling you the only reason I'm staying with this department and my lack of pay and the benefits that are being taken away from me is because I'm invested time-wise in my job, or else I would have left also. And thanks be to God, I have finished my career. I'm in the process of retiring, but these men and women who are still here, they need your help. I know you want to help them, but for whatever reason, it's not happening. Something has to change. You have to want these people to be at work. They do desire to, but I don't want to say you, it is making it more and more difficult for them to do their jobs. They're exhausted. They are at 16-hour shifts because they don't have an option. They are mandated to stay at work day in and day out. They're exhausted. This has been going on not just recently. This has been going on for 10 years. And how can you expect people to stay? How is this county going to continue to be protected? I literally thought 10 years ago, is the Board of Supervisors, and I'll say it again, not that you were here, but I thought, are they trying to run the Sheriff's Department out of business? Are they trying to get the Sheriff's Department to close down so that we only have the city of Bakersfield? Because that's how bad it got. 10 years ago, we didn't have the staffing that we needed. The trend had already started, and it's so much worse now. The same problems 10 years ago is what's going on now, but it's only gotten worse because as everybody's received their cost of living, or at least I know your board has, and forgive me if you have not.
We have not.
In 10 years?
We only receive raises when our employees receive raises.
I'm so glad to hear that because that takes at least an angst out of my heart about that. So thank you for that. Thank you for not receiving that COLA raise like I haven't for 10 years. But I am going to ask you, please, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't have all the answers. I don't have any of the answers, quite frankly, but I know that you came up here because you wanted to make a difference in this community. I'm not saying that you're not, but your law enforcement community needs you desperately. This whole entire community, the businesses, all of your constituents, they need you to do something. And I don't care personally if it's a penny or 2 or 3 tax raise in every single one out of our pockets. If we're going to pay for money, let's pay to protect ourselves. Let's pay to keep our businesses here. Let's pay to have a really great community. But right now, we're leaving in droves. The good people who want to serve this community are leaving because they can't afford to stay here. 10 years ago, there were men and women in this department who qualified for Women, Infant, and Children WIC, which is government-assisted aid. They qualified because of their pay 10 years ago, and they haven't received a raise. So tell me what they can afford now. Obviously, you can see I'm passionate about this, and I'm about to leave. I'm about to get out after 27 years, but these men and women, they are my brothers and they're my sisters. And I care about them deeply as I care about myself. And you all know, and if you don't, I'll share with you, probably in the last 6 to 8 years, that badge that we wear on our chest, it feels more like a target now. Because crime is up, thank you for saying that, our staffing is down, and we don't have the help that we need. And as my father said, you know, Denise, we had more staffing when I was on the streets than you do now. And the community, okay, so he retired in 2000. That was 18 years ago, and they had more staffing then. Crime was lower then. The amount of people that live in this community was so much less then, and it's only increased. Please hear, without disrespect, our need to help this community in every way. And I know that you can all make that difference. Something has to be done. It has to be done. And I'll take the 5-cent tax pay, putting it in if that's what it takes for every citizen of this community. And I think everybody would agree with me. And for those people who don't, I don't know about politics, but if it needs to go to a vote or some kind of we put it on a ballot to be voted, for God's sake, let the county put that on a ballot to be voted for. Let your constituents decide whether or not they actually want to pay that money to be protected. I'm pretty sure they're going to say yes. I could be dead wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're going to say yes. I'm going to continue to invite people to come here. Thank you for hearing me today. Thank you for hearing my passion. Thank you for hearing the fact that I love these people, brothers and sisters. Some of them I don't even know. I care about them. And I know that you care about them, and I know that you want to do something for them, but please make it happen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your dedication and service to our community. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to make comment to us this morning? Is this the last person?
Hi,
Good morning.
Good morning. David Fluhart, Havilah 1st District. Haven't been here for a while. Looks like you guys made a few changes around here. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, you guys had a special meeting and everything's connected and whatnot. And the conclusion was we needed a bigger boat. I'd like to say we need a better, bigger boat. Okay. Good job on the airport. I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited. And that's about it. Have a good day. And yeah, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fluhart. Would there be anyone else? Okay, then we're going to close the opportunity for public comment. We do thank you for your expressions of concern and your heartfelt expressions to us today, and I hope that we are able to find a way to accommodate, because we are very grateful for the sacrifices that you guys make, and I know it has to be a terribly difficult life that you lead in your dedication to us, so thank you for that. Anything else? Supervisor Perez.
I want to thank also members of the public, these valiant public servants who do something that you could not pay me to do under any circumstances. Would be utterly too terrifying, frankly. So thank you for being here. This item, of course, is not on the agenda, the official agenda. It's public speaking. So we are very limited by law as to what detail we can get into on an item that is not agendized. So I just don't want you to think that we cannot delve into this subject or are choosing not to because we want to avoid it somehow. We are very limited in what we can say from the dais on a matter not agendized. This is public comment. And I'm so grateful that you waited around an hour to have your voice be heard to your government. This is your government. You are protecting it, you are serving it, and you are an extension of this government. And so your perspective is profound. You are on the streets, you listen to the members of this community, you are experts of the problems of this community. So I take what you say very seriously. I take it to heart, and I know that you know things that I'll never know. And for that, it's humbling. I am so grateful to you, and please continue to educate us about what you're doing. You are on the front lines. You are on the first line of defense for any safe, modern society. And so really, I'm grateful to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you to your spouses, your children, your partners, and the people that sacrifice along with you. We need to address this issue. It is Crisis 101, and it has to be top priority. It certainly is for me, and I believe wholeheartedly my colleagues feel the same. So I look forward to making those improvements and showing you the appreciation that you deserve for the kind of heroic acts you engage in on a very regular basis beyond my comprehension. Thank you.
Supervisor Gleason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for coming in. Denise, 6 years. Thank you.
Same here, Denise. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion then for us to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. Will we return at 2 o'clock this afternoon?